He was born on a morning when the sky was grey and the hospital walls smelled like disappointment. Not because anything tragic had happened, but because nobody was waiting outside the delivery room with flowers or smiles or hope. From the very first breath he took, the world treated him like an afterthought, like someone who existed only because fate forgot to erase his name. His childhood was not loud with laughter or full of warm memories. It was quiet, heavy, and constantly reminding him of what he did not have. While other kids ran toward their fathers after school, he walked home alone, carrying a bag heavier than his body, filled not just with books but with unanswered questions. Why him? Why this life? Why this constant feeling of being invisible? His mother worked endlessly. Exhaustion carved into her face like permanent scars, and though she loved him, love alone could not shield him from hunger, mockery, or the cruel jokes of classmates who smelled weakness the way wolves smell blood. Teachers saw him as average. Neighbors saw him as forgettable, and relatives spoke about him in sentences that always ended with lowered expectations. Every day trained him to believe that greatness was reserved for others. At night, he stared at the cracked ceiling above his bed and imagined a different version of himself, one who mattered, one who was seen, one who wasn't always last in line. But imagination felt like a crime when reality punished dreamers. Failure followed him like a shadow. He failed exams, failed interviews, failed at friendships, and eventually failed at believing in himself. The world didn't just ignore him, it actively reminded him that he was replaceable. Each rejection chipped away at his confidence. Each laugh at his expense tightened the knot in his chest. There were days he considered disappearing completely, not dying, just vanishing so nobody could judge him anymore. But somewhere deep inside, beneath the layers of fear and doubt, something strange began to grow. Not hope, not yet. It was anger, a quiet, burning anger that whispered, "They will regret underestimating you." He didn't know how or when, but he promised himself one thing while lying on that thin mattress, listening to the sounds of other people's lives through the walls. If the world refused to open doors for him, he would become the force that breaks them. That promise didn't make life easier overnight. Struggle didn't suddenly stop. In fact, it intensified. But something had shifted. Every insult became fuel. Every failure became training. Every lonely walk home became a conversation with his future self. He started waking up earlier, working longer, reading when others slept, and learning when others mocked. No one noticed the change because real transformation is silent. The world only pays attention when results scream. And if this story is already making you feel something, if you recognize pieces of your own life in his struggle, stay with it and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because stories like this are not just entertainment. They are reminders of who you can become. The day everything changed did not arrive with thunder or applause. It came quietly, disguised as another ordinary morning. But this time, he woke up different. The fear that once controlled him no longer had power, because he had already survived worse than fear. Years of being ignored had sharpened his focus. Years of rejection had strengthened his spine. And years of loneliness had taught him discipline. While others waited for motivation, he had built habits. While others complained about unfairness, he had mastered patience. Success didn't rush toward him. It tested him over and over, demanding proof that he would not quit the moment things improved. Opportunities came disguised as exhaustion, as risk, as nights where sleep felt like a luxury. And he accepted them all. Slowly, almost invisibly, the results began stacking. One small win led to another. One door cracked open, then another. People who once looked through him now looked at him twice. The same voices that doubted him started asking how he did it. But he didn't celebrate loudly. He remembered the nights he cried alone, the days he felt worthless, the moments he nearly gave up. He understood that success was not revenge, it was freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom from approval, freedom from the past that once defined him. When he finally stood at the top of his own mountain, he didn't see enemies below. He saw lessons. He realized the world never turned against him. To destroy him, it did it to build him. The pain wasn't punishment, it was preparation. And now, when he spoke, people listened. not because he demanded attention, but because his story carried truth. He told them that greatness doesn't come from privilege, it comes from persistence. That confidence isn't given, it's earned through surviving your worst days. That the version of you who wants to quit today is standing in the way of the version of you who could change everything tomorrow. And if you're listening to this right now, feeling that fire in your chest, know this, your story is not over. The chapter you're living may be painful, but it is not permanent. Stay consistent, stay hungry, stay patient, and most importantly, stay connected. Subscribe to this channel, because every story here is a weapon against doubt. A reminder that no matter how many times life pushes you down, you can rise stronger, sharper, and unstoppable. The world may turn its back on you, but that's often when you turn into fire.